From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
An answer to a call for help.
He reveals things to me in that tractor that I can't get revealed to anywhere else.
How one man turned his life around by turning to the farm. A new Congress starts work today. But does the current House Speaker have enough support?
He doesn't have my vote.
As farmers and ranchers across the country will soon receive market relief payments, how they're being calculated, and when you could see them right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer.
Ben's bins, please hold.
Yeah, Ben's has been busy all day.
Seems like no one can keep up with this new Z series. What did you all put in these seeds?
Science.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Rowe. Clinton has the day off. The American Relief Act of 2025 was passed at the end of the year by Congress, and that means almost $10 billion in market relief payments are coming to farmers. It's intended to offset part of the loss producers are facing following a decline in crop prices, while total production cost estimates remain elevated. While USDA has not provided final numbers, FAPRI just released their analysis estimating how payments will be allocated. Market relief payments under the American Relief Act are based on estimated payment rates, the number of acres planted, and the prevented plant acres rate for each of the crops eligible for payments.
They're going to take the December WASDE price and multiply by the 10-year average yield to get your gross revenue, and then they're going to compare that to what the ERS estimated for total cost of production.
FAPRI's analysis shows that by crop, cotton farmers will see the largest per acre payment, but row crop producers will also benefit.
For corn, we project corn producers to get about $42.50 an acre, soybeans to get about $29.50 an acre, and wheat to get about $30.70 an acre. Overall, that's where the most of the money is going to be spent. The other big one to note would be cotton, where we estimate them to get about a little over $87 per acre.
So roughly 80% of the $10 billion will go to row crop and wheat producers.
Looking at the by crop totals, we estimate about $3.8 billion to go to corn, about $2.6 billion to go to soybeans, about $1.5 billion to go to wheat, and about $975 million to go to cotton.
By state, Texas will receive the highest total payments at $965 million due to lower cotton and wheat prices, followed by Iowa at $846 million and Illinois at $790 million with strong support for corn and soybean farmers. Kansas farmers will receive an estimated $787 million. Rosenbaum says in lieu of the Farm Bill that payments will help but not make producers whole, and USDA has yet to release its final numbers, which are at the Secretary's discretion.
Southern Ag Today, Joe Outlaw and Bart Fisher had, I think, a very good recommendation for farmers and their bankers to just factor in about 85% of some of these projected payments that you've seen from Paul Neiffer, from FAPRI, and others, because we really don't know until USDA announces those rates. But it is needed in many states because of a cash flow drain.
Farmers will be seeing payments soon, as USDA must distribute the funds within 90 days of the bill becoming law to provide timely relief. Wiesmeyer cautions that congressional passage of this relief doesn't guarantee a new farm bill will get done in 2025 because it will still take bipartisan support. For many areas of the country that have seen warmer temperatures recently, it may finally be time to pull out the winter gear. Temperatures over the next few days are shaping up to be the coldest of the winter so far. The first blast of cold air arrived Wednesday for the north central U.S. and will spread south and east through the weekend. And that will also usher in some snow.
Less than 20% of the lower 48 states currently covered by snow, and almost all of that is confined to the northern tier of the country and the higher elevations of the western United States. But as we make the transition to colder weather, we will have an opportunity to add or replenish or establish snow cover in areas that haven't had much. It's a little too early to pin down timing, but suffice to say that in the near future, we'll see some increase in snow cover across the northern plains, the Midwest, the Northeast.
For more on that Arctic blast and where we could actually see some snow, we turn to meteorologist Jack Van Meter.
Yeah, we did see some snowfall across the country and actually in different forms. This is the current snow depth across all of the country. And we can see that Iowa did see just a little bit of snow as a clipper system did move through. Currently, they got right around 3 to 4 inches on the ground, especially there in central Iowa. And as we move out west, we can see that atmospheric river, or pretty much just that burst of energy that's moving off of the Pacific, really enhancing a lot of those mountain snow totals out there. What happens is, again, a lot of that moist air is forced up the mountains, and obviously it's going to cool, and they're actually seeing pretty impressive totals out there. We can see just to the west there of Denver, seeing some pretty impressive totals of actually over a foot at times. And actually for parts of the Great Lakes states, they're actually just seeing right around a ½ inch to up to an inch of snowfall as cold air is moving down once again. And snow fell across much of central Iowa on Wednesday. Areas near Des Moines seeing up to 4 inches of snow. That area under one time was actually issued a snow squall warning. But is there more snow on the way for the Midwest? Well, I'll have the answers in my full forecast.
Happening today, a new Congress will be sworn in, and right now there is a focus on the Speaker of the House. President-elect Donald Trump saying he wants to keep Representative Mike Johnson as House Speaker. He endorsed the congressman from Louisiana days before the House votes. Mr. Trump writing that Johnson is a, quote, good, hard-working religious man who will do the right thing and continue to win. But Washington watchers say that ongoing struggle among House Republicans over government funding and debt ceiling issues may complicate his ability to secure the gavel. Some Republicans had expressed frustration with some of the compromises Johnson negotiated in his spending bill to keep the government from shutting down.
Given how he's handled this as Speaker, could you vote for him on January 3rd?
He doesn't have my vote.
So you won't vote for him?
He does not have my vote.
Will you change your mind?
It would take a Christmas miracle.
Procedural experts telling Farm Journal Washington analyst Jim Wiesmeyer that without a speaker, the House clerk might swear in members or elect a temporary presiding officer to enable the joint session. Corn and soybeans continue to press higher as we started a new year of trading. Could they go even higher? I'll have more coming up on Markets Now. And later, one man shares his story of recovery and how farming helped him find a new life in the country. Thursday's market closes had corn, cattle, and soybeans out of the plus side. Darren Newsom with Bar Chart is in with analysis. And Darren, let's talk about corn and soybeans. Slightly higher on Thursday. Obviously, we are seeing the funds buy, but how long will they buy here? Can they get us through this next area of resistance that we're into on the charts?
Yeah, it's a great question, Michelle. Thursday we certainly did see most of the commodities, most of the commodity complex really come out of the holiday jumping. But corn and soybeans just kind of followed along, and as you said, most of it was just some fun short covering. From a technical point of view, it was interesting to see the high in March corn was just under the next round number, just one tick from the next round number. And corn likes to move round number to round number. So if it can get through what I think 460, then certainly it could set its sights on 470. Yeah, but the bigger question is, we've only got till about the end of the month before things could possibly change. Let's just put it that way. And there's no real fundamental reason right now for funds to continue to add to longs, particularly in the soybeans. We can make a better case for corn because of that May July spread covering a bullish level of calculated full commercial carry. We just don't have that in soybeans. So we're going to have to see some demand picking up. We're going to have to see it stay strong. And the question at this time of year is how much is going to be sold coming out of the new year out of on-farm storage.
And what about the cattle market? Triple-digit gains, new highs for the move in both live and feeder cattle futures, but that was solely a function of higher cash, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah. Cash market was on, it just remains on fire. And early in Thursday's session, the commercial traders seemed to be sitting back waiting to see what the funds might do. But when it became apparent that the funds weren't going to start to sell, we did see by the end of the day, future spreads were indicating a good deal of commercial support. So yes, this market just continues to go higher, continues to be led by cash, which is what livestock markets are supposed to do.
Do you think there's more upside in cattle yet, or how much more?
No idea. because if we start looking at some of the outside markets, particularly if U.S. stock indexes start to come under pressure, sometimes that puts a little bit of weight on the livestock markets. I have no idea where the highs might be, but what I would like to do is continue to buy puts and just let this thing run.
All right, thanks so much, Darren Newsom with Bar Chart. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
As we can see, there is going to be a lingering system currently. We can see right here pretty much in the Ohio Valley region that a small clipper system is starting to move through, and that'll shortly exit off the East Coast. But what we're actually looking at is this large ridging that's going to be happening out in the Rocky Mountain states. And what that's going to do is kind of set the scene for that next system. I'm sure a lot of people have been hearing a little bit of hype about this next snow system that's going to be actually moving through the Midwest. But as I progress this forward through today, notice how that ridging starts to build. And that atmospheric river, again, a lot of energy and moisture coming off the Pacific Ocean, is going to build and build and build. And as we can see, the ridging is stopping it. That being said, that low slowly but surely is going to start to take down that ridge there, and we can see that some energy is really starting to develop. We're talking parts of Oklahoma and also parts of Kansas as well. We can see that wintry mix starting to come together. Then that low really starts to transform that system and really wraps a lot of that energy together. And we can see that we're just looking at a pretty decent low pressure system, actually winter weather system as well for much of Sunday, and that'll be moving to the east as we go throughout the days on Sunday and actually for much of Monday as well. Here's our snowfall estimate pretty much through the weekend. We can see that, again, starting on Sunday and into Monday, we do have a pretty centralized track for that snowfall. Now, we are still a number of days away, but we're pretty certain that this is going to be the highest potential in the corridor there for some snowfall. And also, we're looking at the potential for some ice to develop under that system too, especially to the south. Springfield, Ohio, 30 degrees, low of 13 degrees, cloudy conditions there. Manhattan, Kansas, 36 degrees, low of 21 degrees. And finally, John Day, Oregon, 45 degrees and low of 31 degrees.
The cost of some breakfast staples is on the rise. We'll tell you why. Plus, a look inside an iconic produce market in the heart of New York City next. Where can you go to get fresh produce in one of the world's largest cities? Many people in New York City turn to Hunts Point Produce Market. Packer editor Jennifer Straley takes us there.
When it comes to keeping New York City fed with fresh produce, it usually begins at the iconic Hunts Point Produce Market. The 112-acre campus in the Bronx is comprised of 30 merchants that move a staggering 2.5 billion pounds of produce sourced from 49 states and 55 countries each year.
At Katzman, our customers range from national chain stores to independent grocers. We even cater to the mom and pop grocery stores, groups of restaurants, all kinds of produce vendors all throughout the city. We try to have something for everybody, from the best of the best in a beautiful restaurant in Manhattan, all the way down to as you're walking to work to grab something quick to eat on the sidewalk.
Many of the merchants at the Hunts Point Produce Market are multi-generational family businesses, like E. Armada Produce Distributor, where fourth-generation Michael Armada picked up a broom and joined the family business when he was just 10 years old.
We've been here since the very beginning, and before that on Washington Street in Manhattan, where my great-grandfather started. My father, my uncle, my brother, my godfather, my sister, we're all here together, and everyone works hard, and it's a really good time. We are wholesale distributors, and we are servicing basically restaurants, to mom and pop stores, all the way up to large chain stores. So the produce that we're selling goes basically everywhere. See the peddlers on the street, these vendors that are, hustling all different produce, all different fruits, and just kind of get an understanding that it all basically came from here.
And you may have noticed some key breakfast items are seeing a price increase. The Wall Street Journal says the cost of breakfast staples continues to climb, with recent surges in prices for coffee and orange juice, adding to the volatility of food commodities. While beef and eggs have historically been unstable, adverse weather and disease have driven orange juice futures to record highs. It comes even as other crops like corn and soybeans have seen price declines. The Journal says average food prices for food at home increased in November by the largest annual pace in a year. Coming up, a new year can often bring new beginnings. See how farming helped one man rebuild his life next in the country. From hard drugs and alcohol to a peaceful life in the orchard, Jennifer Parson of the Georgia Farm Monitor documents one man's journey of pain, recovery, and redemption, and how farming helped him rebuild his life.
I do a little bit of everything, from irrigation during the winter time, running the chainsaw when weather's come and we got limbs down, to sweeping if we need sweeping, or right now I particularly run the harvester throughout the harvest season.
Tripp Stillwell spends his days working in this pecan orchard.
I grew up in Cordell, Georgia. My grandpa, he was a pecan farmer.
But 2 years ago, he lived a very different life.
After high school, I chose the path of I never let the party end. I chose the path of hard drugs and alcohol.
He says he struggled finding happiness and spiraled out of control, leaning on controlled substances to get him through the day.
The first time I used, it was marijuana when I was about 11 years old. I had already been drinking, sneaking alcohol when I could. And as high school progressed and, that continued seeking validation progressed, the drugs got harder and harder. I was a young punk kid who had a chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove something that he didn't need to prove.
The darkness would get even darker as Tripp recalls wanting to end his life.
I would stay up for extremely long periods of time. I would allow myself to get very dehydrated and malnourished, and I'd hope to pass out while I was on the road. And there were many times I woke up with my truck in the ditch next to a tree, just waking up several hours after I'd wrecked, not knowing how I'd gotten there.
And with addiction came other consequences too.
When I was 16, I got arrested my first time. Then the next time when I was 19, it was a serious charge. It was a felony.
After 15 years down a dead-end road, Tripp finally received a wake-up call.
I was looking at being incarcerated for many years, and I needed something different because every time I had went to one of those places, I came back out wanting to do the same thing. And I asked my officer, could I do something different? And he allowed me to go to the rescue mission.
His time at the rescue mission connected him to others with similar struggles and a higher power known for grace.
It was there that I surrendered my life and found the Lord.
I met Tripp late 2022. We were in like a men's group at church, and a lot of people in that room had different stories, but at the end of the day, we were all more similar than we thought. He had some boots on, and I heard him say the word Crifts County, and I was like, who do you know down there? What do you do? He said, oh, I know this farmer and this person. And I said, well, I know them too.
And I wholeheartedly believe that he made me wear these boots to that church service on the particular night that my boss would be there. And he opened the door for me back to farming. Most people wouldn't have gave me a chance in the world. The Lord he works in perfect timing. He knew where I needed to be, when I needed to be there with the person who was going to be there at the same time.
He says his time on the tractor helps him connect to the one that paved his path to recovery and ultimately back to agriculture.
I'm never isolated. I'm always with the one who brought me through all that stuff. That really gives me my time to work on the stuff that he wants me to work on. He reveals things to me in that tractor that I can't get revealed to anywhere else because the world's going on around it. It's just me and him in there and the orchard. I look at it like, man, he created all this around me and I get to tend it.
And he has some advice for others who may be struggling too.
Shame and guilt, they drove me to do it for as many years as I did it because I didn't want to feel like I needed help from anybody. I'm a man, I'm supposed to do those things on my own. My advice to anybody going through that is tell on it. Bring it to the light and share what you're going through with someone like me who's been through the same thing. I promise there's many people out there, whether they're in a church, whether they're on a 988 hotline, that have been through something similar and that want to help you.
And our thanks to Jennifer Parson of the Georgia Farm Monitor for that story. Now, if you need help, you can find resources at 988lifeline.org or call or text 9988 on your phone. Well, that's all the time we have for this morning. Thanks so much for watching. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Michelle Rook. Have yourself a great day.